Welcome to Black and White. It's all just an elaborate distraction while I go through your stuff. Now, I've got a special treat for you today. And I know I say that most times, but I actually mean it this time, because today we're going to be looking at Thief. Now, for those of you that didn't know, Thief is a series that first aired in the 90s and has recently been rebooted by Square Enix. Unfortunately, that particular game falls a little out of my jurisdiction of retro and indie, so we're going to take a step down memory lane. That's right, I'm dusting off a classic for this episode. Thief, surprisingly enough, is a game about a thief. The particular thief in question is Garrett, a sarcastic antisocial misanthrope and former member of a mysterious cult known as the Keepers. Yes, I did just wiggle my fingers then when saying mysterious. Anyway, the organisation is dedicated to secretly watching the world and manipulating events from the shadows to maintain balance. I say he's a former member because he sorta took those skills of infiltration they'd taught him and instead decided that a life of crime was more lucrative. You gotta love that kind of protagonist. He's just had this higher calling laid out before him and he's just kind of ditched it to go make some quick easy cash. I mean, there's an epic story playing out somewhere, but we don't care. We're too busy jacking Lord Bafford's jewel-encrusted scepter while he's out for the evening. And all the while we're getting some fun glances into Garrett's mind, listening to him talk to himself as he makes his way around each level.
Since I'm in here, I might as well pick up something for myself. I wonder if he reads them or if it's just for show.
It's kind of like the Prince in the early Prince of Persia games. Maybe they'd do a review at some point. No, one thing at a time. Let's focus. The story we're staying out of takes place in the intriguing fantasy steampunk city known as The City. God love the creativity, Ubisoft Montreal. At least it's a really interesting place to observe and explore. A place that's screaming for a modern day high-def reboot, unfortunately. We can only wish though, can't we? Now this game is something special because for the time it was revolutionary to focus on stealth rather than running around and butchering everyone you encounter. And before people try to call me out on this, it came out the same year as Metal Gear Solid, and no, I'm not ignoring games that came out on earlier consoles. It's just that this was a major growing point for the industry, still playing around with bizarre concepts like a third dimension and textures. And besides, Metal Gear Solid gives you a Stinger missile launcher about halfway through. It's not exactly tactical espionage at its finest, is it? Still an awesome game though. But enough ranting, onto the actual gameplay. I mean, I could simply say first-person stealth game and leave it at that. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Okay, see you next week. Alright, it's a bit more complex than that. Garrett is given an objective at the beginning of each level, and sometimes a hint as to how to achieve it. After that, the game kind of throws up its hands and lets you do your thing. You can outfit yourself with a nice array of gear at the loadout menu for passive or aggressive takedowns. Aggressive are easier, but you're usually penalised for it. There's also gear to make your life easier, like water arrows for extinguishing torches. Any leftover coin you have can go to bribes for extra information, like secret entrances or guard patterns. You can buy as much as your wallet allows, which is encouragement to explore the levels and find all the secret areas, and swipe everything that isn't nailed down. The game isn't without its flaws though, as much as I'd love to say otherwise. For one thing, like I hinted at before, the graphics haven't aged well, like, at all. Also, the game can be a little unbalanced at times, especially when it comes to what can and can't be detected. Yes, it seems like security forces in the city may need to get their collective eyes checked somewhat. In low-light areas, guards will be practically tripping over you, and even in well-lit areas, a little bit of distance is as opaque as a brick wall. When it comes to being quiet, nothing is a bigger security risk than carpets. Though that did lead to one particularly funny instance where I found Garrett leaping his way across a room behind a completely oblivious guard.
Seems peaceful enough now.
How is he not hearing me? Lastly, and this was a pretty bad one for someone like me who grew up with controllers, the PC controls are a little squiffy. Having two buttons to move forward at different speeds never gets less confusing, especially as the game doesn't actually outright tell you that you can just hold shift instead. Not to mention some people, you know, really dumb people may have sorta had to restart the tutorial because they forgot which button cycles inventories. Yeah, suck to be those guys. Overall, not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I know I was just ragging on it, but it all just adds to the charm. I love it either way. The same goes for the sequels, and you can definitely see the impact it's had on the gaming industry. Just be sure that you're not expecting a modern AAA when you plug it in. This is 100% grade A retro, buddy. Thief Gold, that is the first game in the series, is available on Steam for $4.99, or you can get the entire original series for $12.99. And that's pretty good prices no matter which way you look at it. Now if you excuse me, I need to go play some more Thief. The new one, that is. Either way, you might not see me for a while. But until then, I've been Magpie, the show's been black and white. Adios. I don't care how many times the Escaper says otherwise, I think New Thief's good.